case, it says what Peter Obi fails to understand is that it's those close to him that will be the first to betray him and sell their support to Bat. Peter Obi should never have left Abga. And Tony Goodman says, Jide, in my view, Doyin Okukpe has no political ideology. He's only looking for what to eat. I know he must have compromised financially. That's their opinions, though. But then, because of our time, we need to raise to the next topic, where President Muhammad Buhari, accused state governors of thwarting development by forcing council chairman to sign that they have received 100% of funds allotted to local government, but pocket half of what the council chairman signed for. Is this damning expose reviewed by the president, BKO?
You know, this sort of thing has been happening for some time, and I spoke briefly about a local government chairman who was suspended by a governor, a former governor in one of the central states, because he opposed his tampering with local government funds. I also know some governors who have been put on trial for tampering with local government funds. It's unfortunate that we have found ourselves in this situation. The Constitution clearly sees the local government as an important tier of government and expects that financially it will have its autonomy. It will be able to have access to all the funds allocated to it from the FAC. But what we see is that governors routinely take part of the funds meant for local councils and use those funds to execute their own projects, thereby leaving council chairmen with little or nothing to point to as projects executed by them. And when these chairmen take up arms or decide to confront these governors, they usually end up being removed from office. This has been happening for some time. They will just get the House of Assembly, that is usually in the pocket of governors, to suspend a local government chairman, and ultimately that local government chairman will be kicked out. Governors want to control what happens at the local government level. Some of them run local governments through sole administrators. They do this also so that they can have unfettered access to the funds from the local councils. To these governors, there is no reason for the local governments to be on their own. They think that state and local governments should actually be one entity, while the federal government also stands as one entity. But that is not what the framers of our constitution thought was right. So the framers of our constitution saw the need to have the local government stand on its own. But governors have never thought that local governments should stand on their own. They tamper with the funds from local governments. They use those funds the way they like. They give this chairman what they want, and the local government chairman usually have so little to work with. And local governments are naturally supposed to be in charge of primary education, for example. They're supposed to pay teacher salaries and all that. But you find that in most cases, the funds to execute projects of their own, the funds to run the councils and ensure that salaries of council workers are paid, are denied them. So this is the unfortunate situation that we have found ourselves as a country. So Mr. President came up with the idea of executive order the other day. The reason he came up with the idea of the executive order was to ensure that funds from the federation account get sent directly by the Accountant General of the Federation to chairmen of local governments. But governors opposed this idea. They went to court and defeated the president.
Yeah.
The court ruled that there was no need for Mr. President to use the executive order to compel the autonomy of local councils and the judiciary to happen. I mean, to compel the autonomy of legislative houses in the country as well as the judiciary to happen. Of course, they sought audience with the president and complained about the idea of the executive order. So what the president wanted was let houses of assembly receive their money straight from federation account. Let the judiciary have their funds transferred straight from the federation account to the heads of the judiciary in the respective states. And the head of the judiciary would then use those funds just the way they deem fit. They can start their own projects and execute them with the funds allocated to them direct from source. So for governors who are not creative, who think that funds available to them are never enough, who have been taking loans all over the place, the fact that they run joint account with local councils enables them to tamper with these funds and give these council chairmen just what they like. So this has been happening for a long time, and the president was just disappointed about the poor level of development in at the local government level, and is convinced that if this council chairman had access to funds directly, they would be able to do a lot more, and we won't be seeing little or no development at the local government level. So this is why he complained. I expect the president to go further and expose the local government, the governors who are notorious for tampering with the funds of the local government. It makes absolute sense to expose such governors, and they need to show us what they use those funds to do, because it's even possible that the funds meant for local governments are being used to service the greed of a lot of our governors. So it makes sense for the president, just as Wike has demanded, to mention names, name names. Let's know who those governors are. Some of them could actually be seeking re-election. So let's know them so that Nigerians can decide their fate. If you've been tampering with local government funds and we can't even see what you've done with the local government funds, then the people should be able to decide whether you deserve to be re-elected or not. So these are the issues. I think the autonomy of local government is necessary, but if you look at what's been happening in terms of the attempt to amend the constitution, you will see that in many of our states, because the governors have so much control over the houses of assembly, they have made sure that many houses of assembly did not sign up to the idea of autonomy for local governments. The other day, the Deputy Senate President was complaining that the attempts to achieve autonomy for local governments have been frustrated. At state level, with state house of assembly, with some of those states refusing to agree to the idea. You need a preponderance of the states, at least 2/3 of the states in our country, to agree to um, autonomy for the states before it can happen. But the governors
Yeah,
are
BKO.
battling hard, pressing buttons and stopping those houses of assembly
Yeah.
from from agreeing to autonomy for local government. So
Right.